Hey Seekers, this is Evan, here with the directors of Sing Sing, and this is Monique Walton and Greg Kwedar. So how are you doing today?
Uh, we're doing great. It's great to be here. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you.
Pass the mic. We're all great. Everyone's great.
So for audience unfamiliar with the story, could you tell us a little bit of what Sing Sing is about?
So, Sing Sing tells the story of one of the nation's only theater programs inside of a maximum security prison at Sing Sing in New York. And the film follows the production of a very unlikely play, which is a time traveling musical comedy called Breaking the Mummy's Code that was performed only at Sing Sing in 2005 and nowhere else until now in our movie. But really, at the core, the film is the story of a friendship of two people who couldn't have been more different from each other, who probably wouldn't have been friends outside of this program, who, through this work, became closer than family.
So yeah, I wanted to ask you, Greg, how did you discover the story for Sing Sing, and what made you want to adapt it into a film?
First came across this story quite unexpectedly over 8 years ago. I was producing a short doc inside of a maximum security prison in Kansas. It was my first time ever behind the walls. And on the tour of the facility, we were doing a doc about something else, but I passed by a cell and there was a young man raising a rescue dog inside of a cell. And immediately I was just stopped in my tracks because I saw in that cell something that defied all the expectations that I had of prison and incarcerated people, primarily from the movies I grew up watching. And what was happening in the cell was the healing that was going on between this man and this animal, and I felt the fullness of this person, and he wasn't a number anymore. He was a human being. And that night in the hotel room, I was just desperate to know, was there anyone else out there doing things differently? And looked up that question on Google, and Rehabilitation Through the Arts, RTA, was near the top of the search field. And before long, I was reading about the production of Breaking the Mummy's Code in an Esquire piece. And a few months later, my creative partner Clint and I were at breakfast at the real theater teacher Brent Buell's apartment, and the real Divine I and Divine G were there, who are now at the center of our film. And then 6 years later, we were making it.
So for Monique, how'd you come into involved with this project, and what was your first impressions on the script and the story of Sing Sing?
There you go.
So as Greg mentioned, it was 8 years to this moment that we've been working on this film. I joined 6 years in after Greg and Clint had been developing the story. And Greg and I met by chance, actually, through the Austin film community, and realized that we had similar values and similar ways of telling stories that involved working with the community in a way that felt like there was space to kind of create an exchange between both worlds. And so they actually invited me to moderate a panel they were doing on their previous film, Jockey, at South by Southwest in 2022. And after we did the panel, we all went out for drinks, and they pitched me on Sing Sing. And my first thought was, this is a story about healing. And it's, a program I've never heard of before, but also just the fact that it really focuses on this friendship and focuses on this play. And then there's this interesting juxtaposition. There's like all of these layers to it that I thought were really compelling. And then the way they wanted to tell it was really powerful, which is that they had Coleman Domingo attached, who's this, amazing, masterful actor. And then they wanted to, cast from the RTA alumni community and have that be, the core and the world of the story. And I just felt like that would be the most powerful way to tell the story. And understood that, I really just understood the vision. And as a producer, you're always trying to, when you hear a pitch, you're trying to kind of get a sense of not just what the story is itself, but how it's being told and what the process might look like and what you could build together. And so that was just all really exciting to me.
So yeah, I just want to say the film was amazing. I got to see it in South by Southwest, and it was amazing. And I say the film had really incredible ensemble of cast, and a lot of them said before it was more like they were formerly incarcerated at Sing Sing and participate in the rehabilitation through the arts. I was wondering if that was the plan of casting real life alumni of the program, or did that was part of like the process of when casting for Sing Sing?
We always envisioned that alumni would be a part of the film because it's pretty undeniable when you meet these men that beyond their acting talent, just their depth of spirit, how vulnerable and honest they are as performers, but as people too. But with time, it became more central and more of the core thrust of what the film was going to be. And then in the end, when it became the story of a friendship between the real Divine G and Divine I, no one could play Divine I but Divine I. I mean, he is a generational talent acting opposite another generational talent in Coleman Domingo, and they really go toe to toe and create this amazing magic on screen, and surrounding that, all of this wonderful, the community of alumni that surround the film really brings it to another level.
So, considering that you were able to work so closely with several RTA alumni, what steps did you take to honor their stories? And what was helpful to your personal side when on set?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what was amazing about the script that Greg and Clinton wrote was that it allowed space for the personal stories to come up to the surface. So it wasn't a traditional script. In fact, there wasn't a script for a while, but then once there were like the main components of the story of this friendship between Divine I and Divine G, which was which was kind of like the arc of the story, and then there was the story of the play itself, breaking the mummy's code, and then there were these moments that would just be one line, in the script that would then give the opportunity to film whatever happened in the room. And what that created was space for our movie to almost like reflect the RTA process itself. RTA, they say, trust the process. And part of that is just like what's ever happening in that space in between humans is what the program is about. And so we kind of reflected that in the movie, but also became like this beautiful part of the story where you really get to meet these men, and you get to meet them where they are, and you get to hear a little bit about who they are. And I think that's like really, that spontaneity is just like so exciting, and it's just so beautiful to capture when you're able to capture it.
So this is all the time we have right now. So come see Sing Sing this weekend, and I'll see you next time.